Guess we all living proof of love at first sight. But now we both see love in a different light. Keeping love alive is a tricky thing. You gotta let it fly, gotta give it wings. If you wanna make it right, lose and cry. Don't hold on too tight, you know you gotta try. Keeping love alive, keeping love alive. Still here we
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and we got another fantastic show. This is very educational, and I believe that is what we're going to talk about today. I think our focus as Americans, as a world, everything need to be focused on this topic because we have to be able to travel around. We have to be able to get from place to place. Everything depends on the transportations that we have. But we also have to be cognizant of the world and what we are doing by using fossil fuel, gasoline, all these other things that pollute our atmosphere, our air, our communities. And I got a absolutely fantastic guest on today to help share some of the latest things that is out there and that we are doing. But it's just taken a little while before a lot of us in the world is leaning in that direction. So I tell you, just sit back, grab you a couple of bags of popcorn because we're going to take you on a journey. I got to always say hello to my fantastic co-host and also my wife, Michelle Cooley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. This topic really fascinates me. I mean, we know a lot of people who have alternate methods of transportation instead of the norm, which we're used to over the years. But this guest is going to show us, and she's going to explain to us why this is so important and just the benefits. So I'm really excited about this particular topic that we're going to talk about.
I'm very excited, and we haven't gave away the topic yet. We're getting ready to do that shortly, but wherever you're looking at this the show, whether you're watching it on E360 TV, whether you're listening and watching it on Facebook Live or YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever mechanism that you're watching it on, if you want to be part of this great conversation, all you have to do is go to your Facebook, StreamYard actually, where we send this out at. But give StreamYard permission to show your Facebook picture profile, because if you ask a question, if you want to just say hello, they will pop your face up smiling, and any question that you might ask this great lady, April Bolduc, she will be gladly there to answer it for you. So Michelle, first of all, let's stop teasing them. Tell them what the title of the show is and tell them what the purpose of today's show.
Yes, the title of today's show is Electric Cars, a decades-long fight for mass adoption and clean air. And the purpose of the show is getting to know entrepreneur and president of S-Curve Strategies, April Bolduc. Discuss the latest trends in electric cars, trucks, and buses, and why every neighborhood deserves clean air, and how electric transportation is key. Talk about how electric transportations talk about their role in equity, and discuss the movement towards school bus electrification, and discuss the greening of the electric grid.
Why don't you introduce this fantastic guest to our listening audience so we can get this thing started?
Yes, April Bolduc. April Bolduc is president of S-Curve Strategies and works with states, municipalities, and utilities across the United States to develop their electric vehicle charging infrastructure plans and programs. She is passionate about transportation electrification, has been in the industry and driving electric since 2011. April assists state agencies to create fast charging corridors and strong emissions reduction policies. She develops regional transportation electrification strategies for counties and helps utilities build strong teams that implement effective electric vehicle customer experience efforts. Her clients rely on her for her innovative stakeholder engagement efforts that gain both regional consensus and results. Most importantly, April grows the adoption of electric vehicles to bring cleaner air to neighborhoods suffering from excessive amounts of greenhouse gas emissions. The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, live on E360 and many platforms, welcomes Miss April Bolduc to the show.
Welcome
Thank
to the
you
show,
so
April.
much.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here. I'm just excited about all the things that you and Michelle do too. So, you both are very inspiring. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. First of all, could you tell our viewers where you at right now? Are you in San Diego? Or are you in another state?
I am in San Diego. I'm in San Diego, but I just calculated the other day that I've worked in about 10 different states since I've had my own business. So, but San Diego's home.
San Diego. Okay. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and uh, who was one of the, or maybe it might be many, that motivated you into becoming the person that you are today, kind of like role models and other things.
Yeah. So I grew up here, went to, elementary school and actually went to college in San Diego as well, to UCSD. And it's interesting because I would say that my role models are, really the people that you see every day, the ones that you remember. I worked for a woman that had her own business for 10 years. I've had, even in my own family, very strong women in my family, some of their own business owners too. So just really, for me, it's those people that you see every day and that are always encouraging you to just be the best person that you can be.
Did you always want to be an entrepreneur, or is that something that hit you at a certain point in time?
Yeah, I've actually always been a corporate person growing up, and I, always pretty much in the corporate world. And it wasn't until I started getting phone calls from, I worked at a utility at the time. I started getting phone calls from other utilities saying, hey, we want to do what you're doing. You're trying to electrify all of San Diego. Well, we want to do that in our city. And I thought, ding, I can do that, for any utility across the country. And I went to my, bosses. I told them what I was doing, the executives there, and they said, wait, where are you going? Tell us your business plan. And I told them exactly the same thing that I just told you. And they said, wow, that's a great business plan, which is to just do the same thing that I was doing at the utility, for other utilities to help grow the adoption of electric cars.
So, was it hard making that leap being settled, I guess, in corporate, understanding or I got a check coming in every day. I got this, I got all that, and actually saying, okay, I can do this. But it might be some struggles in the beginning until I actually get everything down pat. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. It's not something that you decide to do overnight. So, but it was just something that I knew the subject matter really well. And I knew that I could really do this for any utility in any other state. So that, I think, is the key piece that kept me going. But I had, never had my own business, didn't really know where to start. There's so many things that come along with it, all the behind the scenes stuff, like let alone the things that you're doing for your clients. So, but I'm so glad that I did it. And I will be in October, will be 5 years, and I'm loving it. And also loving the subject matter. I mean, who doesn't want to talk about cars all day? You know, like I love talking electric cars all day. So it's fantastic.
So what are some of the things that, and we're going to talk about you as a president, CEO, but what are some of the ideals that's dingling in your head where I can take this to this level right here, but it's going to require this, or the mindset of the communities and the people have to kind of be like this. I'm sure those thoughts cross your mind every now and then. Can we talk about it?
Yeah, and I think it's really two things. One would be just the technology. I love the fact that when you get into an electric car and you put your foot on the pedal, it is blow your hair back fast. So for me, that really cool technology is something I love. On the other side of it too is clean air. I mean, who doesn't love clean air? If you think about just, your home or your business, wherever you're sitting right now, the number of delivery vehicles driving by, could be mass transit, could be school buses driving by. And all of these are, diesel vehicles, a lot of them, the larger ones, semi trucks. So, all of that impacts just our own neighborhoods. And so I think that really the passion for the industry itself and where I think that we can go is really what's been keeping me going. So then when you do as an entrepreneur have those things come up where you don't want to deal with them because it's more of like, back end processes and things like that. We all have that. But it's my passion for what I do that keeps me going.
Wow. So you mentioned about, mashing the pedal in an electric vehicle. Is that different than a gas driven? I'm talking about the feel of it, or is it just the same, or just being powered by a different avenue?
Yeah, so the difference between a gasoline vehicle and an all-electric vehicle is an all-electric vehicle doesn't have a tailpipe. And what it does have is an electric motor. So if you think about anything that runs on electricity, even the light switch in the room that you're sitting in right now, when you flip that on, the lights turn on. Or if you have, some type of electronic in your home, when you turn on the TV, that turns on. That's exactly what it's like when you get into an electric car. You push a button, it turns on. But when you step on that pedal, it's that instant torque. And it doesn't matter what type of electric vehicle you have. Could be a small one, could be a big one, could be a, sports looking one. It could be one that's not so sporty. They all have that same instant torque. And that's what's so fun about them. And so I think, every time that I either, have a colleague or a friend drive one, or, they go and do a test drive, when they come back, it's like, wow, now I know what you're talking about. So, my one recommendation would be just go to your local dealership and just test drive one, just get in one, or ask your neighbor or your friend that has one, just get behind the wheel, drive around the block, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
One of these days I'm going to do that. I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked out that for probably like a lot of folks at the electric vehicles right now, because we kind of get comfortable with what we have. And but I do believe that we all have to be cognizant of our earth, our communities, and the air we breathe, just like you was talking about earlier. Because if we don't do something now, it's going to be almost unbearable for life, I think, in the next 30 to 50 years for us to almost survive without major illness and sickness. And so our mindset have to change and have to focus differently.
Yeah, exactly. There was a study that the American Lung Association did, and it's really showing the impacts of traffic to young lungs and also in urban neighborhoods, because if you're in an urban neighborhood, you're most likely closer to faster driving streets, roads, freeways, highways. For example, right now where I sit, I can look out my window here. I see a freeway. I see train tracks, the airport, the port. And just to give you an example, in San Diego, the air quality around the port is the worst air quality in all of San Diego County. So it's the same if you're talking about, for up along the coast, along the western US, any ports that are over on the East Coast, any ports that are in, for example, in the Gulf, so in Texas. I mean, that's where heavy industry is. And so we can electrify even boats, planes, trucks. Are we there to electrify planes, all the way yet? No, not necessarily. I mean, here in San Diego, big military town, are we able to electrify, really the big ships yet? No, not yet. But that's where the industry is going. There's so many people working on this issue. And so all of this together is going to make sure that, the next time that the American Lung Association comes out with a report that says, little lungs are impacted by tailpipe emissions, we just got to stand up and think about that and take a look at that, because it's a serious issue. And that's why I'm passionate about the electrification piece.
Wow. I'm passionate about this as well. You know what?
Yeah.
We're going to take a station break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about April, her company, CEO, all the things that they do. And I tell you what, if you want to be part of this great conversation, go to wherever you're watching this at, go to the comments, ask her questions, just say hello, join the fun, because that's what it is. It's education. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooler. We'll be back shortly after the break.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, we are getting educated, and also I believe that we need to understand, just like we said earlier, that we got to live we got generations, our kids, our grandkids, our great grandkids got to live on this great planet, and we have to do something to protect that. But we still have to be able to get around places, whether it's cars, whether it's buses, whether it's trains. Just like April said, airplanes or whatever the method of transportation, we have to look at the benefits of clean air, meaning electronic vehicles, electronic buses, electronic trucks. Pretty soon, other than drones, electronic airplanes. We got to be able to do all of those things. And so April is sharing her thoughts. She's going to tell us a little bit more about her and her company and some of the things that they're doing. So if you want to be part of this conversation, go to the comments, just type it in, send it to me. I'll make sure it's posted and we'll answer your question. So April, can you tell us a little bit about your company S-curve strategies, and tell us what you all do and some of the things that you guys are envisioning that's going to happen, because we got to do some changes.
Exactly. And we at S-Curve Strategies, we help states, counties, cities, electric utilities grow the adoption of electric cars. And we do that by implementing strategies, region wide, that can bring everyone together in the community and talk about, okay, what are the types of things that they're already doing around either cleaner air? How can we increase the number of electric vehicles in a particular region, neighborhood, county, community? And the reason why there's so many people that are looking to do this is because many states and many counties have implemented climate action plans. And so with each of those plans, they have goals to help meet emissions reduction goals, so greenhouse gas emissions. One of the number one ways to do that is to transition transportation to electric. Because I'll give you a perfect example. In the state of California, 40% of the state's greenhouse gas emissions, so that's almost half, come from just regular cars, trucks, and buses. And also included in buses, for example, is school buses. So when you think about us putting our kids on school buses, there have actually been studies to show that school buses, the air inside of school buses, is dirtier than the air outside. And that's because, a lot of them are diesel and those fumes get inside the bus. Even if you think about parents waiting in line to pick up their kids, I mean, those vehicles are running. Kids that are walking home next to them are breathing in that air. And so it's really important that we transition any type of transportation to electric or a cleaner fuel. Another option would be hydrogen, but that is not as prevalent as electric, but still clean. And so those are some of the things that we work to do.
I noticed during the Super Bowl this past year, they advertise a lot of commercials as relate to electric vehicles, and it seemed like the powers to be, I'm talking about the money, is going toward that direction. How do we encourage Americans to focus their vision on electronic cars and also get the politics and the political out of it about the money? Because just like we talked about earlier, we're not going to be, well, our life expectancy, our children, our grandchildren life expectancy could be cut short unless we get this mindset turned around very quickly. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's so interesting that you bring up the Super Bowl, because I was watching that and it was like electric vehicle commercial after electric vehicle. And, some of my friends are looking at me and I'm like, yay, it's happening. and a lot of people that told me, why would you ever open a company that focuses strictly on electric cars? And it was kind of like the Super Bowl just said, April, you're okay now. Continue. And I think what's really interesting about that is that every automaker has now said that we are going to electrify pretty much all of the models that we make, all of the cars that we make. And the reason why, too, is because, policy has a lot to do with that. So those states that are looking to, encourage cleaner air, they're also encouraging to have more electric vehicles. And so it's just fantastic to see the automakers actually transitioning along with that. And I think they're also coming out with vehicles that people are interested to drive now. So, you may have thought about electric car before where it's just a small, tiny car, but now you've got like the Ford Lightning, which is actually a pickup truck that will, go the same amount of miles that a pickup truck would go, but still has, we talked about before, that torque. I mean, imagine being a big, huge pickup truck and you still have that torque. One of the things that we need to work on, I think, for all of the automakers is a way to bring the cost down. I think that's key, because then we'll get more people driving electric. Because I know you said before, and it makes a lot of sense, which is, not everyone knows a lot about electric cars. It's not really something they think about. And so us in this industry, we need to do a better job of the education and outreach about what it really does mean to drive electric. And then, if it means cleaner air for your neighborhood, then that's great. But it's also that technology piece that's fantastic.
So you mentioned, and right now I believe that for electronic cars, at least the heavy hitters are like Tesla, really have no competition. What do you think the United States, they have to put competition in there to bring the costs down and not just have a monopoly in one company? What are some of the ideas? And I know you probably are talking to a lot of the automakers and talking to a lot of folks on ideas and sharing ideas on how we could get this competitorship going to drive the cost down so a lot of folks can be able to afford an electric car.
Yeah, typically the largest cost in the vehicle is the battery. And what we've seen over the last 10 years that the cost of batteries have come down significantly. And so pretty much every, 5 years, we'll see another significant drop in costs. Since electric vehicles have become so popular, we are seeing that drop happen more quickly. So, and you mentioned Tesla, and I agree with you. It's a fantastic car. They make a great product, which is why they're the top selling electric vehicle in the country by far right now. But I would want to encourage, anyone who's interested in an electric car to go look at all the other different types of models that are out there, because there are quite a few that the cost is significantly lower and you still get that same, technology feel. You're, driving a clean car in your neighborhood. Like a perfect example is, for me, I drive a Nissan Leaf. Well, why would I drive a Nissan Leaf and not drive a Tesla? Well, for me, it's all about cost. I like to keep my costs down. I own my own business. It's all about you keep your expenses low. But I have the benefit of being able to go as far as a Tesla goes. I have, I think I have similar torque as a Tesla, although I know Tesla would not agree with that, and probably a lot of Tesla drivers. But for me, I just love that torque, and that I never have to stop at a gas station, and I charge my vehicle at home. And I rent my home, and since 2011, I have been just plugging it into a 3-prong plug. That's how I get around. I don't have a level 2 charging station. And that's because I haven't been able to install one, because I mentioned that I rent. So, electric vehicles are for all different types of lifestyles. You don't have to be a homeowner. You don't have to have, a huge paycheck to be able to drive electric, and I'm a perfect example of that. So I'm learning as we go, because I haven't even went to any of the auto dealers looking for an electronic car. I think that I am reassumed. So what is typical the mileage that you can get? I don't know. Out of a fully charged electric vehicle without having to stop somewhere to recharge. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that? Sure. So my vehicle gets 225 miles out of just one charge. And I think what's interesting about that is, as I have talked over the years to lots and lots of people about their concerns, one of their number one concerns would be range anxiety. So I'm worried that the vehicle that I'm driving, I'm not going to be able to get to my next destination. I don't know where the chargers are. I think if we reframe that a little bit, because for your vehicle, for example, a gasoline vehicle, you're not driving it 225 miles every day. You're only driving it the amount that you commute. So, I think the average across the country is about 25-mile commute. So if you put it in those terms, you're only replenishing just the amount that you're commuting. So every day I'm not needing to replenish 225 miles. What I'm needing to replenish is the amount that I drive. So just like you would in a gasoline car. So, and I'm able to do that overnight. I plug my vehicle in, I wake up and it's charged. So it's just like plugging in your phone. You probably, plug in your cell phone every night, or your mobile phone. So it's the same thing. It's very easy to do. And I had a relative that actually said to me, they were coming into town and I said, oh, you could use my Nissan Leaf, not a problem. And they said, no, I don't know how to drive an electric car. I've never driven an electric car. And if I could change anything, I would change how people think about electric cars. And just one day, I just want to call them cars and not electric cars, because I'm hoping that they'll be that mainstream. So I'm just very excited to see where the industry is going, and the future looks bright and the air looks cleaner, which is great.
And that is great. That is great. So you mentioned 225 miles for the vehicle that you have. Yeah. If you were going on a longer trip and you was close to that 225 miles and you pulled over to a charging station, how long would it take for you to get enough juice to get another 100 miles or so? Is that a 2-hour thing or 5 hour, or how's that done?
Yeah, so we have different levels of chargers: level 1, level 2, level 3. So a level 1, I mentioned, that's what you just plug into a wall. Level 2 is, a charger you can install at your house. But level 3 is a lot of level 3s that you'll see in public. And we just call them fast chargers. So if I'm going to replenish my vehicle, I would need to charge it at a fast charger about 30 or 45 minutes. Different vehicles can charge quicker than other vehicles. So it just depends on that type of vehicle. So, maybe they can do it in, the 30 minutes, and maybe someone else would take 40 or 45. But if you've been driving for 225 miles, what that does is it allows you to go get a break, get a snack, cup of coffee, and just the cost is a lot less. So, which is great that, I'm paying significantly less than I would if, I'm going to a gas station, and especially, at prices that we've seen as of late. But
hold that thought. We're going to take a station break, but when we come back, I want to compare the cost of gas and electric, and I'm just talk about that a little bit, because I know that our viewers are probably interested in that. So tell you what, you want to be part of this great conversation, and you see it is great, go to your comments, ask this young lady a question, and we'll make sure that it get out there. And I tell you what, you stay tuned. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more It's Your Life with James Cooley shortly after the break.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello. Hey, I'm James Cooley. I am the founder and CEO of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, Options, Opportunities, / the Choice Board. Our primary mission is to help build a foundation of our youth and young adults and communities. And we encourage everyone to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you are here for a purpose. You also have to be able to step out your comfort zone and do things that you probably didn't think that you can do.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. Again, I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. And as you see, we got this absolutely extraordinary guest that's educating us, on electric cars, and I believe is the future of transportation all over the world. And that would be April Bolduc. I messed the name up, but
Either way, it's great.
But I tell you, this conversation is so intriguing, and it's so educational that I think it needs to be talked a lot more. And April, prior to going to the break, you was talking about the potential savings in costs from gasoline to electricity. Can you go off into that a little bit and let us?
And it's interesting because the number of just even talking about just maintenance. So, for example, we'll talk a little bit about maintenance. So, when you think about a gasoline vehicle, it has thousands and thousands of parts. If you think about all the different types of parts in the engine, well, an electric vehicle really has just a fraction of those parts, if you can believe that. So, just on the maintenance alone, the costs are less because you have less parts and therefore less things to break. You don't have a tailpipe and you don't have oil, so you no longer have oil changes. We already talked about the fact that you're not having to stop at a gas station. And the cost to charge an electric vehicle is significantly less than it is to fuel a gasoline vehicle. So just to give you an example, the cost to fuel a vehicle, let's say you have a level 2 charger at home, probably be about $10, I would say, to fill the vehicle completely. And that's a lot less than gasoline. When you go out and you're using a level 2 charger in public, you would probably about double that cost. Why would you double that cost? And that's because you're using a public charging station. They charge a little bit more for you to use those public charging stations. So I would say probably 90% of us charge our vehicles at home because it is a lot less expensive. If you do go out and you're making a longer trip, and you're charging with a DC fast charger that we talked about earlier, now that's probably going to be a little bit even more. So you're probably starting at about maybe the, $30 range for a DC fast charger if you're going to fill it up all the way. And that's because it does cost a little bit more to fill your car more quickly. So those are just some of the general costs. But for me, it's been interesting to think about the fact that I haven't been to a gas station since 2011, and I haven't had an oil change since 2011. So just adding up those savings and then knowing that I'm reducing my cost to fuel my vehicle. So I'll say fuel, we're fueling it with electricity. Just those savings alone has been significant. And a lot of times the way that I think about those savings is offsetting the entire cost of car because I have less maintenance and less fuel costs for it. So that's one thing to factor into your electric vehicle if you are looking at maybe the purchase price and thinking of, well, how can I bring that purchase price down? And then a couple of things too I would recommend is just looking, depending on which state that you live in, look to see if there are any incentives. And so a lot of times your local utility, you can actually reach out to them and they'll have on their website if they offer like an electric vehicle, a special electric vehicle rate. So a lot of utilities will offer you a lower electricity rate to charge your car. They'll also sometimes tell you about if there are incentives either from the state, but there is also the federal tax incentive, which is a $7,500 tax credit. So those are just a couple of other incentives to add onto your vehicle.
You got my undivided attention.
I'm telling you, Dr. Cooley, no, we are going to get you in an electric car by the time we are done with this interview.
You know what? By the time we finish this interview, I'm running out of here. Hit direction.
Exactly.
But you brought up so many interesting things that I didn't even think about. I was thinking, me not knowing that oil changes and all of that stuff is still required, and you said, well, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what type of maintenance that is required, just like a regular vehicle? I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to learn. So it's certain things that you have to do. I guess you don't have to tune it up that much. I'm not sure. What are required? What are required?
Yeah, there's really nothing to tune. So the only thing that I ever worry about, and this is since 2011, is my tires.
Oh, okay.
So I rotate my tires and call it a day. I think I've maybe had to change my wiper blades once, but there's not a lot of maintenance on the vehicle. So yeah, like that's it.
So with the prices of cars today, I'm not talking about electric vehicles right now. I'm talking about to go out and today's time on today's conditions and buy a brand new car, gas burner, whatever that is. What is the comparison for as price? I'm not talking about the high-end Teslas or none of that stuff. I'm talking about if I was in the market of going out and buying a new vehicle, and I said, okay, I'm gonna get an electric vehicle opposed to this Cadillac or this Cruise, I mean, whatever that is. How much significant in cost, just guesstimate, I know you probably don't know the exact numbers, more of an increase would that be?
So I know that, for example, some of the lower end cost of brand new vehicles today are around the 25,000-ish level. Some can, maybe that up to about 35,000. So that would be a lower cost vehicle, but I just, can't impress upon your viewers enough that even though it's lower cost and it may be, it's a smaller vehicle, or it's not a truck or a sports car looking vehicle, it's not a Tesla, it still has the same torque, the same, no maintenance, all of those things are the same about it. And so that's why I chose to drive one of those vehicles that is on the almost the lowest end of all of the electric car prices. And I love it.
So what you're saying is a person can buy an electric vehicle like $30,000 or somewhere right around that price. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Which one of the dealerships? I again, I'm just so
I would so recently the Chevy Bolt, so the GM vehicle, they announced that they were dropping the price of those vehicles, and I actually tried to get a Chevy Bolt before I got my Nissan Leaf. However, they weren't available, and they're typically at the end of the year they'll come down in prices, and I just couldn't find one anywhere near me. And so went with the Nissan Leaf, and then just recently, I think this was a month ago, there was an announcement that the price on the Chevy Bolt was going to be significantly reduced. And it's a great little car. It is a great car. And when you get inside of it, even though it may look smaller, it's super roomy. It's very roomy, and lots of storage space. So those are the things that I like. Roomy cars, storage space, good technology. Awesome.
You got my attention because I haven't even, just like I said, I haven't even thought about going out buying an electric vehicle. And so therefore, I haven't even researched the prices or any of that stuff. But this is a year, and I know Michelle is up there listening, but every 3 years I buy her a brand new car.
Oh, really? Well.
And this is that year. And I think that we're going to look at something different this year because I want to do all I can to help control the pollution in our communities, our neighborhoods, our earth. And so we have to start looking at the future. And, having conversations like what we're having right now, and for our viewers to be listening to this, if they haven't thought about that, they might need to think about that as well, because I was thinking the price was doubled. I'm talking about far as cars. And now just having this conversation with you, it gives me a better understanding that this is reasonable. And you can get an electric vehicle at a reasonable cost, not worry about all the maintenance, probably have a great warranty. I don't know, it's 5 to 7 year warranty, however long the battery lasts. I guess there's a lot of incentives that go with that. And you brought up about, you mentioned something about potential states. There's a $7,500 tax credit.
Yes, there is a $7,500 tax credit. And so with that particular credit is very interesting because the reason why it was, they have this tax credit is because all of the automakers, they want to encourage the adoption of electric cars. But they did say that if you're an automaker that has sold more than 250,000 vehicles, well, we're going to, not offer that tax credit for those vehicles anymore, but we will still offer it for the rest of the automakers until they reach that goal. So for example, if you drive a Tesla, it's pretty well known that you aren't going to get that tax credit. But of the 50 different types of electric vehicle models that are out, and that's probably surprising for a lot of people to hear that there's that many types and models of electric vehicles to choose from, you'll still be able to get the tax credit. Now, the Chevy Bolt is one that you won't be able to get the tax credit because they did hit their maximum sales as well. And then just to tell you a little bit what is a tax credit and what does that mean? So what that means is that if you owe money in your taxes at the end of the year, that $7,500, you could apply that towards those taxes. So, it's not like a direct rebate, but that's how that tax rebate works.
Oh, hold that thought. We got to take another
Great.
commercial break, but I want to come back and talk about them. Plus, I see Dr. Shadell Watkins asking you a question about electric cars versus hybrid. So hold
Okay.
that thought. We're gonna
Yeah.
take a quick break, real quick break this time. But tell you what, if you got some questions you want, we still got another segment. Got another segment to get all your questions in and learn as much as you can. We'll be back shortly. The James Cooley Show is still live right after the break. April, we'll see you soon.
Great.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Dr. James JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Get it?
Welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cool, and I tell you, I am getting educated, and I hope that you are as well, because I'm learning so much about electric vehicles. I never even thought about it, and I'm sure a lot of you all probably have neither. But you see, we are doing a whole lot of great things, as April explained. But first of all, you're saving money. Secondly, you help saving the planet. You help save the community. You help save a lot of different things. So, April, prior to the break, we was talking about costs, and we were talking about all the other things in the neighborhood, and I'm talking about where you can buy these vehicles at, and so can we pick that up? And also, Dr. Shade has a question for you. I think you can see it in the comments. She asked, is it better to purchase an electric vehicle or a hybrid vehicle?
So when I say electric vehicles, it's anything with a plug. And so there are plug-in hybrid vehicles. So this would be a electric vehicle that has both a plug and a gas tank. There's an all-electric vehicle like we've been talking about. So an all-electric vehicle would have, the low maintenance that we discussed, a plug-in hybrid that has the gasoline plus the battery, and a plug. For those vehicles, you're still going to have to do the oil change. It's still going to have the same maintenance that you would for a gasoline car. So the maintenance will be a little bit higher. And then some mentioned just a standard hybrid. So a standard hybrid would mean that you're, a highly energy efficient car, but it doesn't have a plug on it. So those are kind of the differences between the hybrid, the plug-in hybrid, and the all electric. So if it were me, and if I were trying to choose between a plug-in hybrid, which would have the plug and also gasoline, or an all-electric vehicle, I've only ever driven all-electric vehicles. And the reason why is because my commute, I don't drive 225 miles a day. So that's not something that, I don't need a vehicle that goes that far. And, but some people may, they have much longer commutes during the day. So they need to have that backup gasoline power. And that's great. What we find out with those drivers is, let's say that it offers you about 20 miles all electric, and then it automatically switches over to gas. When we talk to drivers, they say that they spend most of their time just driving around on those 20 miles. So, but then when they need it, they can switch over to gas, but it's very rare that they do that because they're always trying to stay within those miles. And then you come home and you plug it in just like you would plug in your phone, and you wake up the next morning, this charge, you got your 20 miles back. So that's kind of some of the different use cases for that.
So we talked about cars. Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about trucks and buses. I have, is that prevalent right now with trucks and buses, or we just still experimenting with the cars, trying to get people to do that? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it was interesting. I just read an article yesterday from the Environmental Defense Fund, and they said that the electrification efforts for fleets, so for trucks, for example, for commercial fleets and trucks, the move towards zero emission vehicles of those fleets is up 8,500%. So, I mean, that's huge. So what we're seeing happen is there's more medium-sized trucks on the road. There's we're getting into, probably, I would say, in the next 3 to 4 years, we'll see more semi trucks on the road. But what I'm really excited about is the pickup trucks, right? Because there's so many people that drive pickup trucks in the US. And so to see that Ford is coming out with the all electric pickup truck. What's so interesting about that Ford Lightning pickup truck is that I think it was about 90% of people that had made the reservation, because the reservations filled up immediately, 90% had never driven a Ford, but they want that truck. So that just gives us a really good idea about the fact that electric pickup trucks will still be popular. And I'm so excited to see more of them on the road. You've probably heard of Rivian. They're the, newcomer, but exciting to see what they're doing too with their pickup truck.
Wow. We're down to the last 2 minutes, but so many questions I want to ask. I want to talk about those certificates, women-owned fire certificates. Also, a little bit about you being the past president of the electric vehicle. Real quickly, can you tell us, a minute, I know we're running out of time. We're going to have to get you back on to pick this up. But can we talk about that real quickly?
Yeah, I'll jump to the Electric Vehicle Association. So it's it's all over North America. We have about 100 chapters. If you're interested in learning more about electric vehicles, just go to the Electric Vehicle Association website. You can see a chapter near you. You can, go to their meetings. You can kick the tires on their cars. A lot of our members will even let you drive their cars. I mean, it's super cool people. But you can really just talk to someone versus a dealer. Just someone, to get information about, just like you're talking to me, which is great. That website is myeva.org.
Wow. April, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on that James Cooley Show. It's your life. And I'm telling you that there's so many unanswered questions here. We're going to reach out to your peeps again and see if we can get you back on, because I think this is something that we need to continue to talk about. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I'd like to thank my great co-host, Michelle Cooley, for doing all the heavy lifting. I'd like to thank my audience for always being there, watching the James Cooley Show, comment. Most importantly, I want to thank everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll see you shortly. Wow, that was outstanding. That was outstanding. Already ran out of time. There's so many questions here, and it's just that's a 2-hour show.
Yeah, no, I think you covered the important parts, and you cover what people want to hear, and that's great. That's perfect.
Yeah, but I would love to talk with Joyce again and have her to, if you have time in your schedule.
Yeah,
She
sure. Anytime.
get
Anytime.
you back on, and we'll pick up whatever is the latest going on at that time. Plus, we'll get off into a lot more of this other stuff that we was
Yeah.
not able to talk about today. So just
Yeah.
want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And I think we just got another comment. Yes, thank you. Good insight for using the us alone
Us all
commute.
commuters. Oh, cool. That's
You know,
awesome.
but again, thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you
Yeah, yeah,
so much.
yeah. Thank you. And thanks for all that you do. And thank you to Michelle. You guys
All
are
right.
awesome.
And so our viewers, I got to close this out now. But like I always tell you, I want everybody to always dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. You can do it. If you can see it here, you can do it. Believe in yourself. See everybody tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life. I'm James Cody.